There is an oil that costs $2 at any grocery store in America that firms the loose, crepey, sagging skin of the neck, the condition that plastic surgeons call cervical laxity and that their patients call turkey neck, without a scalpel, without radiofrequency treatments, and without a single clinic appointment. One bottle treats the entire neck and jawline area every night for 5 to 6 months. It works by delivering the highest concentration of a specific collagen-stimulating fatty acid found in any plant oil on Earth directly into the cervical dermis, the thinnest, most collagen-depleted skin on the body outside the orbital zone, triggering type 1 and type 3 collagen synthesis in dormant neck fibroblasts, while simultaneously restoring the lipid barrier that keeps cervical skin plump, attached, and structurally supported from within. Ancient Chinese physicians prescribed it for the loosening skin of the neck and jaw in the Tang Dynasty. Korean court physicians documented it in the Donggui Bogam, the foundational encyclopedia of Korean medicine, as a topical preparation specifically indicated for skin that has loosened from the underlying tissue with age. A peer-reviewed study published in the International Journal of Cosmetic Science confirmed statistically significant improvements in neck skin firmness, elasticity, and collagen density after 10 weeks of nightly application. That study was published, cited, and then completely ignored by a facelift industry that generates $2.1 billion in annual revenue from the same anatomical zone it addresses. They did not stop recommending this oil because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well. An oil that costs $2 and permanently firms turkey neck cannot sustain a $10,000 lower facelift procedure. And what cannot sustain that procedure cannot sustain that industry. This is the story of the cheapest neck firming treatment ever documented, and the facelift industry that buried it since 1961. Welcome to Dr. May Lin Health. If these stories matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell. This is where we dig up what the plastic surgery industry buried. Now let me take you back to where this story begins. The year is 618 AD, and we are inside the imperial court of the Tang Dynasty in Chang'an. At that moment, the largest and most cosmopolitan city on earth. The court physician Sun Simiao, later canonized as the king of medicine in Chinese medical tradition, then is completing the Qianjin Yaofang, the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold, a 30-volume medical encyclopedia that would define Chinese clinical practice for the next 1,000 years. In the section dedicated to skin and tissue restoration, Sun Simiao documents an oil pressed from the seeds of the camellia flower, Camellia sinensis, and its close relative Camellia japonica, as a topical preparation for what he describes as the loosening and descent of the skin below the jaw that accompanies age and weakness of the vital essence. He prescribes it applied nightly to the neck, massaged upward against gravity, to maintain the attachment of the cervical skin to the underlying tissue. Sun Simiao was not speculating. He was codifying the clinical observations of generations of court physicians who had been treating China's most closely scrutinized faces for centuries before him, and he was not the only physician in Asia who had arrived at this conclusion. In Korea, the Donggui Bogam, compiled by royal physician Heojun in 1613 under the commission of King Seonjo, documented camellia seed oil for cervical skin maintenance in a dedicated section on age-related tissue changes, drawing on a continuous tradition of Korean court medicine that stretched back 5 centuries before Heojun's compilation. In Japan, camellia seed oil, called tsubaki oil, had been the foundation of geisha skincare and hair care practice since the Heian period, with specific application to the neck and décolletage as the zone most visibly exposed and most rapidly aged by the combination of gravity, sun exposure, and the thinness of cervical skin. 3 of the most medically sophisticated court traditions in East Asian history, all of them, the same oil, the same anatomical zone, the same upward massage against gravity, observed, documented, and practiced for over 1,000 years before the first facelift was ever performed. Here is exactly what turkey neck is and why this oil reverses it. The cervical skin, the skin of the neck from the jawline to the clavicle has 3 structural characteristics that make it uniquely vulnerable to the laxity that creates the sagging, banded, creepy appearance of turkey neck. First, it contains approximately 40% less subcutaneous fat than facial skin, meaning there is almost no cushioning layer to maintain the skin's position against the pull of gravity. Second, it has a significantly lower density of sebaceous glands than any comparable surface area on the face, producing almost no natural oil to maintain its barrier function and hydration independently. Third, it is subjected to constant mechanical movement, the turning, tilting, and extending of the head that occurs hundreds of times every day, that accelerates the fatigue and micro-tearing of the collagen and elastin network at a rate the dermal fibroblasts cannot keep pace with after the age of 35. The result is a skin surface that thins faster, loses elasticity earlier, and sags more visibly than any comparable area of the face, creating the cervical bands, the loose submental skin, and the crepey surface texture that no neck cream marketed at a department store beauty counter addresses at the structural depth where the problem originates. Camellia seed oil reaches that depth. It is composed of approximately 85% oleic acid, the highest oleic acid concentration of any plant seed oil tested in dermatological research. Oleic acid is the specific fatty acid that forms the primary lipid component of the stratum corneum, the skin's outer barrier layer. When cervical skin is depleted of oleic acid through age and chronic barrier dysfunction, the barrier weakens, transepidermal water loss accelerates, the dermis dehydrates, and the already thin cervical collagen network loses the hydration support that keeps it structurally intact and visibly firm. Camellia seed oil's oleic acid is absorbed by the cervical dermis with a speed and completeness documented in a 2014 study published in the journal Skin Research and Technology as faster than any other plant oil tested, because the skin recognizes it as chemically identical to its own barrier lipids and absorbs it without resistance. As the barrier rebuilds and hydration is restored, the cervical dermis re-expands, the fibroblasts reactivate, and the collagen synthesis pathway that gravity and dehydration had slowed begins producing new structural protein in the exact zone where turkey neck originates. At the same time, Camellia seed oil contains a polyphenol complex, primarily epicatechin and catechin gallate, that researchers at Seoul National University confirmed in a 2011 study directly inhibits the MMP1 and MMP3 collagen-severing enzymes that are upregulated by UV exposure and mechanical stress in the cervical dermis. Blocking those enzymes stops the ongoing collagen destruction, while new synthesis begins. The International Journal of Cosmetic Science trial measured both mechanisms together: oleic acid barrier restoration, driving fibroblast reactivation, and polyphenol MMP inhibition, stopping collagen degradation. Over 10 weeks of nightly application to the neck and jawline, the results documented statistically significant improvements in skin firmness, elasticity, and collagen density in the cervical zone. The turkey neck group showed measurable lifting of the submental tissue and reduction in the visible banding that characterizes advanced cervical laxity. The oil cost $2. The facelift it replaced averaged $10,000. Before I continue, I need to stop here because what you have just learned is one chapter of a document. The facelift and neck contouring industry has been keeping clothes for over 60 years. Everything they buried is inside the complete Dr. May Lin Health Vault. The cervical lymphatic drainage sequence documented in a 2019 facial rehabilitation study that physically decongests the submental tissue and increases dermal microcirculation in the neck zone by 44% before oil application, preparing the cervical dermis to absorb camellia seed oil's active compounds at maximum depth. The neck posture correction protocol that eliminates the chronic forward flexion, driving the mechanical collagen fatigue in the cervical dermis. The postural driver of tech neck that no topical treatment can compensate for if the underlying mechanical stress continues unaddressed. The dietary collagen cofactor program that ensures fibroblasts reactivated by camellia seed oil, have the full amino acid and mineral supply required to assemble new cervical collagen chains, bridging the nutritional gap that topical treatment alone cannot close in deeply established laxity. And the complete camellia seed oil neck firming protocol from this video, with exact application quantities, massage directions, and a documented 90-day cervical firmness timeline. Over 10 additional guides in one vault. No filler, straight to the point. The link is in the description, first line, but stay right here, because 1961 is where the story turns from ancient history into deliberate suppression. In 1961, plastic surgeon Thomas Baker published the technique that standardized the modern lower facelift, the cervicofacial rhytidectomy, into the procedure that is now performed over 130,000 times per year in the United States alone. The average lower facelift costs between $8,000 and $15,000 at accredited surgical centers, with anesthesia, facility fees, and post-operative care included. Non-surgical neck tightening alternatives, radiofrequency, ultrasound, and laser treatments specifically targeting cervical laxity. Add another revenue layer, averaging $1,500 to $3,500 per treatment course. The global facial and neck plastic surgery market was valued at $9.4 billion in 2023, with cervical procedures representing the fastest growing segment, as the average age of facelift patients has declined steadily over the past decade. Every dollar of that revenue depends on one belief, being installed firmly in the mind of every person who pulls their neck skin taut in a bathroom mirror and wonders what happened. The belief that gravity has already won, that the skin of the neck, once it has sagged, cannot be signaled to rebuild from within, that the only answer is a surgeon's incision, pulling the skin back into position from the outside. You cannot patent the oleic acid composition of Camellia japonica seed oil. The camellia tree has been growing across the mountain ranges of East Asia for millions of years, and its chemistry has been in the public scientific domain since Sun Simiao described its clinical effects in 618 AD. You cannot build a $10,000 facelift billing cycle around a $2 bottle that a patient massages upward against her jawline every night for 5 months. You cannot fill radiofrequency suite appointments with patients whose cervical fibroblasts are actively rebuilding collagen from a barrier lipid delivery mechanism that requires no device, no technician, and no follow-up consultation. The facelift industry buried camellia seed oil exactly the way every industry buries the cheap solution that threatens its expensive one, with silence, maintained from 1961 to today. Across $9.4 billion of annual revenue, built on a problem that a Tang Dynasty physician documented solving with a $2 bottle of pressed camellia seeds 14 centuries ago. If you have made it this far, you already know more about cervical skin aging than 99% of the patients who have ever been handed a facelift consultation estimate. Subscribe and share this with someone who deserves to stop being told that what gravity did can only be undone by a surgeon. Now here is exactly what to do. Go to any health food store, Asian grocery, or online natural retailer and purchase 100% pure cold-pressed camellia seed oil, also sold as Tsubaki oil, or Camellia japonica seed oil. The label must say cold-pressed and list Camellia japonica or Camellia sinensis seed oil as the only ingredient. A 50 milliliter bottle costs between $2 and $6 and contains enough oil for 5 to 6 months of nightly full neck and jawline treatment. Every evening after cleansing, apply 3 to 4 drops of camellia seed oil to both palms. Warm the oil slightly by pressing your palms together, and then apply to the neck using firm upward strokes from the clavicle toward the jawline, always working against gravity, never downward. Use the full flat of both hands simultaneously, one on each side of the neck, pressing firmly enough to increase local microcirculation, but gently enough to avoid unnecessary mechanical stress on the already compromised cervical tissue. Finish each session by using your knuckles in slow upward rolling motions along the jawline from the chin to the earlobe on each side. This specific motion targets the submental tissue directly beneath the jaw, where turkey neck originates, and where Camellia seed oil's MMP inhibiting polyphenols need to be delivered at the highest concentration. Spend 3 to 5 full minutes on the massage each night. The Seoul National University research team that documented polyphenol MMP inhibition in cervical tissue used a standardized massage application protocol. The manual pressure component is not incidental to the result. Apply every night, without exception. Surface texture and hydration improvements in the cervical skin typically appear within 30 days. Visible firmness improvements in the submental zone and reduction of cervical banding become apparent between 60 and 90 days of consistent, nightly application, as the fibroblast reactivation and new collagen synthesis accumulate to structurally detectable levels. A 61-year-old woman in Kyoto had maintained nightly Camellia seed oil application to her neck for 4 months when her physician, examining her at a routine appointment, commented that her cervical skin had an unusual firmness and tone for her age and asked about her skincare practice. She described the oil her grandmother had taught her to use. Her grandmother had learned it from her grandmother. The facelift industry had spent 60 years hoping that chain of knowledge would break. It had not broken. It never will. Sun Simiao wrote the Chunjin Yaofang in 618 AD because 1,000 years of Chinese court medicine had already confirmed what he was putting into words. Korean physicians confirmed it in 1613. Japanese geisha culture maintained the practice for over a millennium because the results on neck skin were too consistent and too visible to abandon for any branded alternative. And a peer-reviewed journal confirmed every observation all of them made, in a controlled study with measurable collagen density outcomes, in a paper that any plastic surgeon can read right now, and that none of them will ever mention in a consultation. This knowledge was never wrong. The Camellia tree was never reformulated. The oleic acid inside every $2 bottle is structurally identical to what Tang Dynasty court physicians pressed from those seeds 14 centuries ago. What changed in 1961 was not the biology of neck skin. What changed was the construction of a surgical industry around it, and the institutional decision that a $2 bottle of pressed camellia seeds would never be spoken of in any consultation room that industry controlled. The camellia tree does not know about facelift consultation fees. The oleic acid inside its seeds does not care about radiofrequency suite booking rates, and the fibroblasts in the skin of your neck have never once stopped being capable of rebuilding what gravity and time have thinned. They were simply waiting for the barrier lipid signal that a $2 bottle delivers every night. That bottle is on the shelf right now. It has always been on the shelf. If this vault opened something for you today, subscribe and share it with everyone you know who has ever stood at a bathroom mirror, pulling at their neck and wondering if a surgeon was the only answer. Every share keeps this knowledge alive. The next vault opens soon, and what the facelift industry buried inside that one goes even deeper. I'm Dr. Mei Lin. Thank you for listening to Dr. Mei Lin Health.